Welcome to Skype call testing service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards, your message will be played back to you.
Men's asses.
Hey, baby. You want to talk? I got something in my pants for you.
Men's asses.
Hey, baby. You want to talk? I got something in my pants.
If you are able to hear your own voice, then you have configured Skype correctly. If you hear this message, but not your own voice, then something is wrong with your audio recording settings. Please check your microphone and microphone settings or visit skype.com for more help. Thank you for using the Skype call testing service. Goodbye.
Thanks, Skype lady. Hello, everybody, and welcome to what is now the 5th edition of the Lords of Pain Football Podcast. I'm Slugna, and we have an awesome show for you. We're going to talk about a couple key NFL games, which is going to solidify the playoffs, the seeding for the playoffs. We're going to talk about some bowl games happening after January 1st. We also have a very good discussion on the BCS system, or as Mark likes to refer to the BS system, the bullshit championship. So we have two people as our panelists today. George is still unfortunately not able to make it. So first off, we have my boy from Tennessee, Seth Omega.
What's up, dog?
Pretty much hanging in there. Yourself?
Dude, if I was any better, it'd be illegal.
I think we already established that it was illegal.
Shut the fuck up.
And last but not least, doesn't really work with only two people. Just south of me in Oregon, we have Macho More.
Hey.
The way you said that made it sound like he's giving you head. Just south on me.
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Pretty good. You know. About to get this thing kicked off.
No pun intended, right? Kick off football.
Actually, it wasn't supposed to be a pun there, but good catch.
Yeah, I know. I catch more balls than Jenna Jameson. That's what, have you never seen that Randy Moss interview?
I don't think I have, no.
Where he said, I can't find it on YouTube, but one time when he was playing for the Titans, he said, I catch more balls than Jenna Jameson.
That has to be the greatest interview ever.
Yeah, well.
Alright, so we're just going to get right into the NFL games right now. The first one we're going to talk about is our Sunday night football matchup. There's no Monday night football this week. But it's our Sunday night matchup, and they had a great game a couple weeks ago. We have the Giants of New York and the Cowboys of Dallas in a NFC East matchup. If I recall properly, yes, all the seeds except for that number 4 seed is locked up. And whoever wins the Dallas Giants game is in the playoffs automatically. There's no exception to this. It's winner is in.
And if they tie, the Cowboys get him. Wait, what?
No, if they tie, the Giants get him because the Giants already have the win over the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So it's literally the Cowboys have to win. And they're in, and I mean, if the Giants win or in the unlikely event of a tie, the Giants are still in. So, Morn, what are your thoughts on the game?
I think this is the matchup for he who gets beaten by Detroit. And that's the honest fact to me. This matchup I've been talking about flawed teams a lot, and that's basically what the NFL is nowadays. You don't have any complete teams like you used to have. And these two teams are no exception to the matter. You have a Cowboys team who has an injured quarterback, a depleted running back squad, and a defense that doesn't know when to play. And you have a Giants team that's everything that minus the injured quarterback. So it's really a weird matchup. It reminds me a lot of last year's matchup between the the Rams and the Seahawks, where both teams just don't look like they should be in the playoffs, yet they're going in.
That's pretty much what it is. It was a win and in situation for both the Seahawks and the Rams last year. And I mean, the Seahawks against all odds, of course, won last year, but
that's all odds. They were favorites.
What?
They were favorites going to that game. They're at home.
Well, against the Rams, yeah, but not against the Saints by any means. But yeah, it's kind of like the same situation as last year, and I agree with you. They're pretty much fighting to get their shit kicked in by Detroit. But I think that last game was it was a really good game. It was close. It was just a very well played game for both ends. I mean, they were in Dallas, and Dallas can't seem to win at home. What's their record at home?
Giants
4-4.
Oh, they're actually 4-4, but it seemed like they should have
4-3. Sorry, they have Dallas or the Giants.
Dallas is 4-4.
Yeah,
Dallas is 4-4 at home. I mean, there's a lot of games that Dallas should have won at home, though.
The thing I'm laughing about right now is that the Giants would have beaten Seattle. This game would be useless.
The thing that I'm laughing about right now is the fact that Andrew just said that the first game these two teams played was a good game.
Okay, tell me why it wasn't.
Where do I start? It was more fucked up. Have you ever seen that roadkill on the side of the road, and you see it, and you just fucking cringe, because it's like, how did something get that fucked up?
The game was close.
The game was close, but that doesn't mean dick. It was riddled by fucking bad tackling. It was riddled by poor coverage. There was almost no pressure on either quarterback. It was an offensive explosion.
I have a question to ask you. Have you been watching NFL all this year?
I have.
That's the whole NFL this year. There has been no defense. It's been all passing. No pressures on the quarterback. It's been an aberration to what football purists would call football. This game will be no exception.
Well, no, that's not the point. It's just these two teams looked better than they were because of how bad the other team's defense was.
Okay.
That's not the NFL this year. Because there are several teams that can play defense right now. Dallas and New York is not either one of them.
Yeah, in the playoffs, you'll have 3 teams. 4. Sorry. I keep forgetting that Houston actually made it in. But yeah, it looks like you'll have 4 teams out of 12 that'll be able to play defense in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the point of the matter is it wasn't a good game. I don't expect it to be a good game this time. I expect it to have more fucking mistakes than a goddamn retard spelling test. You know, I just don't fucking... the amount of faith... Oh, okay, let me say this. I have more faith that I'm going to get a bailout check from President Obama than I have faith in either of these two teams to do anything worth mentioning.
We know this. And this is honestly this is the game of which coach gets fired at the end of the season game. Whoever loses this game, their coach most likely will not be back next year. And
well, I hope they find a way to both fucking lose. I hope they're playing the goddamn game and the goddamn stadium collapses. That just make my fucking day.
It's a new stadium. It's not going to happen.
Bullshit. There might be terrorist attacks or, I don't know.
So you want a terrorist attack to happen to about 70,000 people.
Are they assholes?
They are in New Jersey.
I don't know. Let me think about that.
The New Jersey doesn't mean they're assholes. It just means they may be stupid or slow.
And that means we don't have to deal with Jersey Shore.
Yeah. If you watch that show, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. Okay, so predictions, you guys.
Okay, my expert breakdown here. Giants can't win at home. Cowboys can't win on the road. Fuck. I predict a tie. Screw it. I'm calling for the tie.
I'd like to see that happen. That'd be a hell of a prediction.
How
many points apiece?
Because whoever wins this game obviously deserves it because neither of them seem to know how to win this type of game. So I'm going Giants because their quarterback actually is 100%.
Score?
42-35.
That's going to be up there, Seth.
The score is going to be whoop, 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 whoop.
No dubstep.
It's going to be whoop, 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 like that. No. For real though. The score is going to be
In New York
very
State.
high. What?
Nothing.
The score is going to be very high. Like, super high. Like, so goddamn high, it's not even funny.
The score is too damn high.
I see what you did there, you funny fucker. The final score will be the Dallas Cowboys 37, the New York Giants 35.
So, Giants win this one.
No, the Dallas Cowboys win this one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Cowboys. That kind of just...
Yeah, I think the Cowboys win, if for no other reason than the fact that Eli Manning looks like he's one chromosome short of being retarded.
Well, for me, I think it kind of goes back to what Warren said. Tony Romo's not healthy. Eli Manning is. Detroit has lost... why do I keep on saying Detroit? Dallas, the other city that starts with a D, have lost 3 of their past 4. Denver, there's another one, yeah. Dallas has lost 3 of their past 4, and, the Giants, like you said, both defenses are horrible, but Jason Pierre-Paul is having a hell of a season. He'll wreak havoc on Tony Romo, if Tony Romo's even 100%, all day long. It'll be high scoring, but the Giants are going to win this one by at least a touchdown. It'll be high scoring for sure. 38-28, I say. I mean, I just think that neither team's complete, but the Giants are the team that's closest to being complete. I mean, that doesn't mean much, but they should win. There's no reason why. There's no excuse for them to lose. That's
like saying which fat chick is prettier.
Hey. Now here's how
wait. I got something to say first. Okay? Let me just say this. Alright? Tony Romo has had a better year than we've given him credit for. Considering all things that have went on in Romo's world. That being said,
I can see that he's thrown for like 100 yards less than 4,000, 29 TDs and only 9 interceptions.
Yeah,
not horrible at all. Over 100 rating.
That being said, I remember a period of time when Tony Romo was hurt, and he came back to beat the number 2 seed in the NFC right now in the San Francisco 49ers. So don't rule it out. The Giants play down to anyone they play. The Cowboys are no exception. Romo's playing good. The Giants don't have a secondary. And I just think it's a bad day.
I think even with the Giants having a horrible secondary, I think Dallas's is worse.
I'm going to just call this right now. The defensive line of the Giants is going to be told in the locker room that the way to get to the fat white chicks is to get through Romo. So you got to kill him.
Where all the white women at?
Okay, I went
Okay, I think we're good with that one. Next one is, not all the seeds in the AFC are wrapped up as of right now. We have 4 teams at 8-7, and Cincinnati at 9-6, currently holding on to that last playoff spot, but they have a game against Baltimore which they could lose, but we're not going to talk about them. We're talking about our favorite player in the whole NFL.
I got Drew Brees.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Marshawn Lynch.
Yes, beast mode. But the guy who, to me, defines the opposite of beast mode, Tim Tebow. Denver and Kansas City. Denver wins, they're in. They lose, and Oakland wins. Oakland gets that last playoff spot. And quite frankly, there's no reason that Oakland should be in the playoffs, but by that logic, nor should Denver.
Nor should any of them. Fuck them all. Let's let Tennessee in the playoffs.
Well, Tennessee has a good chance at this point.
I
mean, not a good chance, but they're still not mathematically eliminated. So Denver, Kansas City. Who you guys got? Seth?
I'm going to take the Kansas City Queefs in this one. And I say that because, they played differently under Romeo Crennel. And I know last week versus the Raiders wasn't the best example of that.
No.
But defensively, they played good. To take the Raiders to overtime was good on their part. I think the Queefs win this game based off what their defense can do and what Denver's offense can't do. We saw last week a very pedestrian Tim Tebow, and I saw it firsthand because the goddamn Jacksonville, Tennessee game was blacked out in North Florida. Go figure. So I got to watch Tim Tebow and the magical Denver Broncos go against the Buffalo Bills, which had been ass-raped by everybody and their mother in the last fucking 7 weeks. The Kansas City Queefs are going to downright demolish the Denver Broncos. And, I think Tebow's actually lost his confidence and his swagger. I think his ego's bruised because Buffalo made him look like... I'll put it this way. They made Tim Tebow their bitch worse than Detroit did because most of Buffalo's points came from Tim Tebow turning the ball over on an interception, on a fumble. Just wasn't very effective at all. And it wasn't just his passes. He just, they couldn't run. I mean, it just, it was a shitty experience for Tim Tebow. And I think that Kansas City has the benefit of the doubt in having I would say better defense. They have a better set of linebackers than Denver has offensive linemen. Like they have Tambia Hall and Derek Johnson. Two guys which are going to absolutely fucking molest somebody. And they're just if Tebow gets outside the pocket, they will put the hammer on him and it will fucking hurt. Whereas, Buffalo had, Nick Barnett and Chris Kelsay or whatever the hell his name is. So, I don't know. You kind of want to see, I don't want to see Denver succeed because that means the Florida player succeeds and we can't have that. Personally, I think the Kansas City Queefs are going to find a way to outlast and outperform the Denver Broncos. Final score 6-3.
Wow.
High expectations.
This game has the official line of being the last hope to get Romeo Crennel that gig. They're going to come out and they obviously love the guy. He's been around them the last several years. And obviously the players want him to be the head coach. And management wants to see if he can get this team rallied up. Well, last week they fought pretty damn hard, and they almost pulled that game out. They should have pulled that game out. And this game should be for the AFC West Championship, in all honesty. And it won't be because, Richard Seymour said hi to a kick. This game, it's hard to say how it's going to be because the last game was just so different than from everything else that had been happening with Denver. Everything Denver had been doing had been so formulaic and down to the point. And last week they went away from it, and it backfired and it went horrible for them. And they can't rely. We've known this. But they realize they can't rely on Tim Tebow to hold the fort for 4 quarters himself. And you're going up against a team that can actually kind of play defense. In KC, I don't see a way that KC can pull this loss out. They have more they're working for than just this season. And so I actually going to agree with them that KC is going to pull out the win, but it doesn't mean they don't make that Denver doesn't make the playoffs. It just means that KC will pull out the win. I'm going to say 21-10.
Okay, fair enough. The thing that's really just killing me about Tebow right now, and I mean, I don't like him, but 14 points against Buffalo. Only 14 points against a horrid Buffalo defense. Tim Tebow, I don't even know. He's just not playing as well as he did earlier in the year, and that's not to say that he was playing well early in the year either. He has come up short in almost every single category the past couple weeks.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Excellent timing. And Kansas City, they should win. They really want to play for Romeo Cornell right now. They should have won last week in Oakland. Not in Oakland, against Oakland. And Kansas, I don't know if they'll blow Denver out, but they should. Denver's defense hasn't been playing very well lately. I mean, as evidenced by giving up, 41 points to New England and then 40 points to Buffalo, who had lost their past 7.
Well, let me defend Denver just a tad here.
Okay.
Just a tad. They have been battling injuries in that secondary, and I mean, like, their 2 veteran guys were out last week. And when you have that, and you face a team that spreads the field, even though they've been doing it shittily, they do spread the field, and they do try to throw it to different guys. They were up in a hard battle to start with. And instead of trying to shorten the game, Denver came out and tried to pass to keep up. And it didn't work, obviously.
Didn't work.
So if you're looking at one thing this matchup has going for it, that for favor of for Denver, Kansas City has not stopped the run very well. And I mean that considerably. They're almost as bad as Buffalo was coming in last week. And if you put that in consideration, if Denver runs the football like they're supposed to, about 40 times a game, and they do it in this game, they will win. But I have no confidence in the fact they will keep the game plan this week.
I think they're passing too much for Tebow. In the last game, Denver, when Denver played the Chiefs, Tebow threw 8 times.
Yep.
8 times. He only completed 2 of them, but he only needed 1 of those. A 56-yard reception by Eric Decker for a touchdown. And now he has another weapon, and I don't even remember his fucking name. It's
Eric Decker.
Demarius Thomas.
Demarius Thomas, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
The
guy from Georgia Tech. The guy that actually played in a fucking option offense. Go figure.
Yeah, I know, right? But they just need to keep on running. And speaking of running, Jackie Battle's doubtful this week. So they're going to have to rely on Dexter McCluster to be their number 1 running back.
Well, Sim's going to get a hard on about that.
So does that mean I should start him in fantasy?
No.
My fantasy season is over. I finished 3rd.
I finished 2nd. I lost.
Yeah, you got beat down by Bob.
I got my ass kicked by Bob.
Bob pulled out that dick and said, "Suck it, bitch." You said, "Yes, sir."
Whatever. Yeah, I guess I'll give my prediction before we move on. It'll be pretty much similar. It'll be similar to last game's score, or last meeting between Kansas City and Denver's score, but reversed. I think Kansas City's going to win. Kansas City's defense is playing a lot better than Denver's right now. It'll be about 17-10, Kansas City. But,
back on the topic of fantasy football.
Back to that, because that's more important than what we're talking about.
Damn straight it is. You realize if I would have played Bob this week, I would have won because I had more points than he did.
Yep. I know.
So you fucking shouldn't have got. Well, no, I didn't have more points than he did. Never mind.
You didn't?
No, I thought I did.
0.12, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I know.
0.12. That's less than a reception.
Yeah, you're fucking luckier than a blind queer in a wiener factory.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. So I
college football.
Yes,
Not yet.
that. Well, it's similar to that topic. So I have a question for you guys.
No.
College basketball.
Yay.
To me, I'll follow it occasionally. I'll check, the Huskies score, maybe the Gonzaga Bulldogs score. It's on the headline of ESPN, but I really couldn't care about the regular season. In fact, most people won't care until mid-February or so when it starts to pick up. You have your conference tournaments, and then of course you have March Madness, which is, a huge revenue stream for the NCAA because they get a lot of viewers. So my question is, if the BCS gets scrapped and college football switches to a playoff system, whether that be 4 teams, 8 teams, 16, or like a 20 team system like Seth and I were talking about, does this mean that people will have they won't care as much about the college football regular season as they do now? Morn, what's your thoughts?
There's a short answer, and that is no. And the reason why that short answer is where it doesn't say a short answer. The college football is far more popular for more aesthetic reasons than their counterpart in basketball. Mainly because people can relate to the football players a lot more than they can relate to very tall kids from the middle city, or in a lot of cases in college basketball now, because people leave after 1 year, white kids that can shoot the ball from the outside. And
you're right. You're 100% right. I'm just saying.
And that's the point is you have one type of player for every type of person in college football. You can have the person that likes to watch the person who's gracefully kicks the ball deep. Well, yeah, sure. Not letting teams have a great kicker at Boise State.
Glorious position, but
there are women that like to watch those type of things. Don't ask me why, but that's the truth. And you have more of a gender nondescript role when it comes to watching that sport. It is not like the women are watching to try to see the hot guy because you can't see them. It's more the women are watching because they like the sport. And since college football has the highest ratio for women to watch it of any sport, because they have ties to the colleges, etc., it comes down to when you have the high ratings they're having, just like the NFL does. When you have all these factors are going towards it, because you have people that went to college more and more every year nowadays. You basically going to have people invested into the program no matter what happens. So, at the beginning of the year, knowing that if your team goes 12-0, you're going to, unless you're in the WAC, you're going to go to the BCS championship game. When you lose that first game, some people will lose interest, and immediately the season is pretty much over unless you're in the SEC where you can have a loss and still get back in. If you flip it around, if you have the scenario where your early season dream matchup, where you have two powerhouses face, and you know that even if a loss happens to Boise State, them finishing the year in the top 8 would get them in to a playoff to prove that they belong to be there, would open up a lot more avenues for the mid-major teams to not be worried about these matchups. It also opened up a lot more money avenue where you can market these games at the major bowl sites and get rid of the traditional game. Yeah, we love the traditional game. It's great, but it will still happen on the same day. It's not that we're changing the day that it happens on. The whole aspect of the players losing time with things. Do you realize that people are doing practice over the holiday season during this time? So instead of losing time during the holiday season, you're losing time during the first weeks of a new term. wait, that doesn't hurt anybody. Then no one really cares. Like the players really pay full attention to college work when they come out of a season, when they're injured or banged up from a full season of football anyways. This is a moot point that the college landscape doesn't understand that the times have changed and we don't want one-off games anymore. We are tired of the same matchups in every year happening in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, okay, so Oregon made it this year instead of last year's matchup. Big deal. It doesn't matter. To me, the college football landscape needs this change. And until they realize this, they're going to be behind the NFL in popularity. Once they realize a playoff system will help them, they can actually surpass them.
I agree with most of those points, but one thing to add to that, what about the casual fan? I mean, I would consider myself a casual fan of college basketball, and so what if I was a more casual fan of college football? Would I not tune in till the tournaments again, or?
Well, here's the wonderful thing about that. What the college basketball fan has going for them is that they will crown a champion by multiple teams facing off and earning their right to that championship game. Mm-hmm. The problem with college basketball is, as I said before, the average person does not relate to any of these players. So you're losing that casual fan as well. That's like Baylor gets there again. So we have a situation here where you will have the two SEC teams this year play in the national championship game. That means 90% of the nation won't give a shit.
I doubt I'll be tuning in.
Now, it will have high ratings because all of the SEC country will be watching it because it's a glorified jizz fest. But when you flip it around, you have 8 teams, let's say, your top 8 teams in the nation, or whatever way you put it, and they will face off in a 3-game playoff pretty much. And you will have the winners out of this will face off in a game in let's say 4 weeks down the road after the start. So you have the Super Bowl like latency there and have the game happen between the Super Bowl and the championship games.
Yeah, so you play football on that weekend off, and you'll get everybody to watch.
Exactly. And it would not only would it bring in the people that normally wouldn't watch this, but it gives you a chance to get on a ride with a team. If you don't have a team in a matchup, you don't have a chance to get to like these teams. I don't like the SEC teams normally anyways, but let's just say, for instance, LSU started off in their first game they faced Boise State, and they beat Boise State, but they do it in a characteristic way where they show that they're dominant, and it gives me a reason as a football fan to start liking them. Next game, they face off, let's say, Oklahoma State, for instance, the next game. And they beat Oklahoma State, and they do it by coming from behind. Look, you got a story happening now instead of you have a team that you're only going to follow.
Like underdog stories that they put so much stock in during the March Madness tournament. Like
exactly.
VCU or Butler. I mean, and there's people, and the media is riding their dicks, and people are all on that shit because they love an underdog story.
Now, flip it around to the other side of the bracket. You have, like, Arkansas and Alabama
and you could have these good matchups that people want to see anyways. Oklahoma State, Alabama. Who doesn't want to see that?
Arkansas, Oregon. Oh, my God. Everybody would love that matchup. And these
Hold up. Wait a minute. You two are about to put me to fucking sleep over here. Like, no joke. You guys are legit boring the shit out of me.
Okay, here we go. And our token SEC bias comes in, and he's going to ruin it for everybody. Go ahead, Seth.
I'm not going to ruin it. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
I want you to say what your real
translation. Ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, let's just say your real opinion and not play Skip Bayless.
Why don't you shut the hell up and let me talk? Thank you. As I was saying, the problem with the playoff is, and you don't notice it as much in Division II, in Division III, and 1AA, because honestly, a lot of those players are replaceable. I mean, truthfully, a lot of those players are about the same rating, the same ranking. You might find a jewel here and there, you get a transfer here and there. That's almost absolutely unstoppable. For the most part, they're untouchable. Now, Andrew, you're a Boise State fan, correct?
That I am.
Okay. Say you play a playoff game, and Boise State's first matchup is against, let's say, the Sun Belt champion UL Lafayette, Raging Cajuns.
Okay.
Say Boise State wins that game, but Kellen Moore tears his ACL.
Okay.
What happens to Boise State then?
Well, they're certainly not as good the next time around, but, injuries are going to happen in football.
They're eliminated. Yes, injuries do happen.
Injuries are going to happen in football. See, LSU, Tyrann Mathieu gets injured. They still have to play the next round.
Yeah.
Matt Richardson gets injured for Alabama. They still have to play the next round.
What's the difference?
Okay,
Wait.
I want to hear about
Robert Griffin III, Baylor's offense, gets injured.
What is the difference between those players getting injured and...
Are you saying Boise doesn't have any other weapons?
No, I'm saying the difference is when you take a Division I school or bowl subdivision school and you put them in playoff scenario and they play 3 to 4 straight weeks nonstop.
Aren't they doing that anyways during the regular season?
They do in the regular season, but the bowl gives them a chance to rest. If one of the marquee players gets injured, you just fucked up the whole playoff bracket.
And
that doesn't happen in the NFL?
It does,
and that doesn't happen in college basketball? Because we were comparing it to that?
It does, but there's more parity in the NFL. There's only 32 teams. All the players are getting paid. The difference in college football is there's not a lot of parity. There's really not at all. I mean, if you look at teams from the WAC conference, they couldn't match up against teams from the Big Ten. Or
Let it happen on the field. That's all I gotta say. Let it happen then. We're not here to pay pity party to teams that have a lesser depth roster than the other teams do. I'm not even coming close to that. As I even stated, I don't expect Boise State to do much.
I'm giving you the reason why the NCAA does not want to do that.
And the NCAA's reasoning behind it is totally bogus.
Yeah.
But if you want to get technical...
You want to get technical, they shouldn't have 12-game seasons.
No, if you want to get technical and be all technical about it, and the BCS blew this all to hell this year, but if you want to get all technical about it, that was kind of the point of having these conferences, was to eliminate the doubt of the playoffs.
So we have conferences, then we have these, whoever wins the conference, they automatically get into the playoffs. That's what the conferences do now.
Yeah, that ruins...
Yeah, and, okay, this is another
ruins
point.
The game.
Yeah,
ruins the game is having
two schools from the same conference in your fucking national championship game, that doesn't ruin it?
Yeah, this is a slippery slope they're running down right now, where you have a conference that supposedly is the best conference in the nation, had a 2-loss team make it to the championship game over an undefeated team. I don't care how bad they got stomped by in their game. They still were undefeated. And Hawaii should have went in over a 2-loss LSU team. No way in hell do you think I'm not going to forget about that. So you have all of this scenario where the SEC is the best conference in the nation, and then when they have a convenient possibility, they throw 2 teams from that same conference in a championship game. It'd be like, okay, so let's say Seattle last year makes it to the NFC Championship game and somehow gets into the Super Bowl, but the NFL goes, well, since you didn't have a winning record in regular season, we're going to put an AFC team in the Super Bowl instead. And because you don't match up. That's what it basically says. The college football landscape is telling us it doesn't matter where you come from. If you're not in one of these major teams, you don't matter. And as long as they do that, they're missing out on a huge bunch of money that these conferences could be making. Because these miniature bowl games they're having right now, I can barely stomach them. And I like college football.
Some of them are losing money, and a lot of them aren't sellouts.
Look, did you see the Hawaii Bowl? Oh my God, that was a great matchup of no one being there. I was making a joke about it, but then the Florida freaking Marlins outdrew that game. I mean, come on. That is embarrassing to a sport to have on national TV a crowd that you can count the number of people. So if you take it and have 16 games happen or 15 games happen, stop 16 play, and for the first two weeks they're back-to-back weeks, and when were the normal bowls would happen, and have them play at some of these lower sites, all of a sudden they get actual people to show up because these are major teams fighting for something, not showing up to basically jerk off for 3 hours.
And we don't see and we won't see a 6-6 team in our playoff system either.
Unless they were somehow going to go 6-3 in their conference and win a conference championship game. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying in general, you probably won't see that.
Yeah.
But the playoff system has more flexibility, and it's more user friendly, and they're not going to alienate people.
I'm not worried about user friendly. Actually, it's not user friendly. Playoff system is definitely not user friendly. It's a misnomer if you think it is. It's more fan friendly, not user friendly.
Well, that's what I mean in this case. It's better than having 2 SEC teams in your national championship game.
Not to the SEC. And that's to them. They're loving this. They're getting $30 million of their schools out of the blue.
Yeah, they're making an assload of money because the losing team gets money too.
Okay,
Yeah.
So what about the other 108 schools in the FBS?
Exactly. The other 118, I don't know.
120 teams, yeah. Shouldn't it be 125? I think, or something like that.
It's 120 right now, I think.
Yeah,
it's 120, so it's 118 right now.
I just said that.
Yeah, I know. I was reiterating what you said.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks. Doubt the counting skills of the math major. Anyways, continue.
As I was saying, honestly, truthfully, I don't know what to tell everybody. I thought that after the way the Bedlam game ended, that Oklahoma State was going to be in.
So did I.
But truth be told, we have nobody to blame but the teams that lost.
We have another one to blame but the pollsters, too.
I think we talked about this too. The SEC teams like putting Oklahoma State 5th in the polls.
Yeah, they have if I was a person in the major side of like the upper crest of the people running the NCAA, and I saw your coaches basically admitting on national TV to a whole that they screw the teams because they had to. They didn't actually honestly do this. They don't pay attention to this till the final weeks of the season. They have like some little guy go, just do it. It doesn't matter. There's some guy, some intern, or some little kid that basically says, okay, here you go. Here's all the teams. Here's the records. Put them in any order. I don't care. And it doesn't get good until the last one. Last one, everybody goes, okay, every SEC team voted Oklahoma State 4th or worst. When they were obviously clearly the 3rd best team at worst in the nation.
And you know why?
We
Because
know
of money.
why.
It's all about the money.
And until this is supposed to be amateur athletics, until you get rid of that burdening factor, you're going to have people that are going to be turned off from the sport as much so as the pro sports.
Yeah, but all it's going to take is one little snafu in the playoffs. All it's going to take is, let's say the playoff bracket was set up this year, and say Alabama got to play UL Lafayette, and say...
Hey, what won't happen? We were only 18.
And say LSU got to play whoever won the WAC. And then,
Okay.
let's say that the Mountain West winner got to play the Big 12 winner.
Okay, that's not a bad thing, but we're not looking at that. We're not going to... I'm still not going to...
I'm just saying, it doesn't matter what you do. Somebody is going to find a way to bitch. I would prefer...
Everybody will, but this will cause the less bitching. If there's an 18
I don't
playoff,
think
there's a
so.
20
I
team
think
playoff. If there's a 120 team playoff, they invite all 120 schools. Doesn't matter if you're 0-12. If it somehow ends up being LSU, Alabama, there's no reason anybody can bitch. People had their chance to beat them. But
No,
Oklahoma State, they didn't get their chance to beat them. Oklahoma State decided to go out and destroy Oklahoma in the Bedlam game. They're like, oh, whatever. Here you go. Here's 2 SEC teams. Here's me not giving a shit.
It's like last year when Seattle made the playoffs. People found a way to bitch.
Oh, that was clearly in the rules. There are no rules in college football. This is as I said.
But if you set up a playoff, you will have rules, and the rules will state the conference champion will get the higher seeds.
Okay, here's if we're going to do 18 playoff, there's no reason to have.
It can't be 18. That's unfair. It has to be at least.
Why would that be unfair? How many automatic
because you have 12 BCS conferences.
No, you don't.
Yes,
you have
13, I think.
No, you have
Yeah.
three. You have 13 conferences.
But you
Doesn't mean they're all BCS
okay,
conferences.
take the top
Technically,
six.
all of them
Take
are.
the top 6 and then take 2 at large.
Exactly.
Who are your 2 at large? Stanford and Alabama.
That's fine by me. I mean, yeah, Boise State wouldn't get in, but then again,
TCU wouldn't get in either.
yeah, it's not. But it's still
Who cares? You take your 6. You take your 6.
automatic bid, guys.
Automatic qualifiers. So you have West Virginia, you have Clemson, LSU, Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, Oregon, and then your 2 at large are Stanford and Alabama. You could put together some great matchups that are not only going to sell out, but draw in big revenue money with, your television viewers and the commercials and, all that good stuff that makes money. And there's nothing that anybody can do to doubt that system. If Alabama and LSU are on different sides of the bracket, they both win their 2 games, they both make it to the final championship game, good for them. I won't complain about that because
you can't complain about that. Because they earned it.
But if they're put into that due to bullshit polling and bullshit computer systems, then I do have something to bitch about, and quite frankly, I am.
Yeah, it's a matter of here.
I think this is what happened. Everybody saw. I've admitted it. Mark's admitted it. Andrew's admitted it. The best team in college football right now is
LSU.
Alabama.
Oh, wait. I thought you were talking about the way the season went.
No. Not talking about the poll. We sat here and we said...
Oh, yeah. The best team is...
Best team is Alabama, which is why I gave him one of my at-large spots.
Yeah, the best team is Alabama.
Who have
okay.
in a championship game.
All I'm saying is people... It's not just because 13 other schools can't just make it happen in the BCS coaches poll. And you're including Texas A&M and Missouri in this big dramatic mess. And, somebody else somewhere had to sit there and say, I think Alabama is the better team.
Okay, I like that you brought that up because it does remind me of something here. In the NFL, there was a Super Bowl a couple years ago between an undefeated team by the name of Patriots against a Giants team that everybody had penciled in as a blowout loss. And the game started, and everybody realized they were wrong about halfway through the first quarter. This game was going to be a tough game. And the thing is the better team was, and everybody will say this, was the New England Patriots. Does that mean they won the championship? Does that mean they went undefeated? No. Does that mean that they deserve to be there? Yes. But the difference is they went through a playoff system where they faced like-minded teams that were not just there in their division, aka their conference, and they beat them pretty nicely to get there. You flip it around, in this situation, the team lost to a team that was undefeated. They may be the better team. I believe it. We all believe it. But they lost. And there is a one-loss team in there that should be there that didn't face the other team. That's where the problem is. And I like Alabama as a team. They are a very good team. I think what Saban's put together is extremely great.
I don't deny that either.
And I respect him a hell of a lot as a coach. He's one of the old school coaches I enjoy listening to talk. When you get him in an interview and he talks about everything that he's not supposed to talk about, but says it in such a way you think he's giving you insight when he's not. And I love that kind of thing. But when you look at this, he has no right to even boast or to be there. When he knows he lost at home to a team in his conference, didn't play in his conference championship game, and had no stake in it.
And we mentioned this before, he didn't even win his division.
Exactly. That is where that doesn't hold up.
Well, like I said, I don't think you're going to see a playoff. It's not in the making. I don't care who bitches. I don't care if Obama bitches. I don't care if the next president bitches. The NCAA likes what they have.
Yep.
And it's all about money, and it's all about TV ratings.
And until the ratings go down, they'll stay the same.
I think the national title game will have pretty high ratings this
Oh,
year.
it will. They'll get a 10 share. I already know it. We all know it.
And the only reason I say that is because, yes, you will have the SEC teams watch them, but you'll also have the other states that always watch, like your Californias and your
Texas.
Yeah. And your Texas.
Your Texas.
People are going to watch just because it's the national title game. I mean, nobody's going to sit there except for fanboys and say, I'm not going to watch football because so-and-so did this or so-and-so did that. I mean,
I like football. I love watching football. I just don't care about this matchup.
We'll be talking about this matchup per se more next week. I mean, we'll get fully into it.
We'll break down it. We'll have some analysis.
I'm going to spew off a bunch of probably very bad lines and try to come up with some good things to not talk about in a matchup. But in all honesty, this is going to be a great game. I'm not going to lie. This will be a great game. The problem is it shouldn't be happening. And the NCAA has no reason to change it because the money's coming in. But the problem is since this is technically a public-run organization, this can be changed by people. Because technically, if enough people think about it, lawmakers can get this changed. And because this isn't the NFL where they go, screw you, we own this. It's, well, we're given money by the government. So if the government does come in, they can. And should they? No, I'm not suggesting that. They can. They may do it because they can put their foot into it and say, hey, we own you, pretty much. We make sure you guys stay alive and open when you have years where where things need to be fixed in your school. I mean, my Oregon State right now is having every building remodeled. Oregon State's buildings coming into this remodeling phase, all of them are almost 100 years old. And so they're remodeling all of them and getting rid of like asbestos and stuff like that. It could be in the pipes, and all because of the grant money that was sent to them by the government. So if every school that in the nation has been being given grant money from the government to fix their stuff, and they're taking these 30s of millions of dollars or whatever they're been getting every year and putting it into just sports, I'm pretty sure if someone gets pissed high up in the food chain of the government, that things will change.
Well, and the only problem with that is, and I could tell you this right now, and I don't know how it is in every other state, but I do know how it is here, and I know how it is in Florida. Our two senators, Bob Corker and Lamar Alexander, both of them graduated from SEC schools.
I know that. Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of these people that are in the government, and they'll say, well, we don't want to change it because this is our school, you know?
Because it benefits your school.
Yeah. And I have no problem with that. I think they're doing the right thing by saying that. As I said before, I do not think the government should get involved.
Yeah, they should.
But they will. I see it in the next 5 years. If it happens again next year, where something similar like this happens, which don't put it past happening. Don't even start thinking it won't happen again. Because we thought that would never happen again where we'd have a team that doesn't deserve to get in. Okay, LSU 2-loss season happened less than 5 years ago, or 5 years ago. So, I mean, if that happened before, where an undefeated team outside the major conferences because they didn't face anybody, but the 2-loss team goes in. Come on.
Okay, now I have one more question to you guys. It was supposed to be a closing statement, but I realize this is going to generate some more discussion. What if the same situation that happens this year, LSU, Alabama, happens to two schools in another conference, like the Pac-12?
I would still be writing a stink.
Next year.
I don't care if you...
Oregon and Stanford. Oregon beats Stanford. Stanford has another impressive resume, and both will make it to the national championship game. What do you think happens then? The SEC is going to complain, obviously.
Of course. The SEC complains when a Pac-12 team makes it to the championship game. They don't complain. I was down there when teams are starting to get big up here in Oregon. And they were like, they're gimmicky offense, that they don't deserve to be in here. They're in the Pac-12, they don't care. Kind of similar to what Judge spews out. Very freaking similar. And that's why it's like a joke when I hear it. I'm not saying anything about Judge. Judge, get well. I hope you get better. But it's a very bad argument to have.
It's very two-sided. It's two-faced.
No, well, I completely will say this much. If I had Oregon State and Washington, this is hypothetical, never going to happen, but two schools that I basically absolutely root for because one I grew up on, the other one I go to. I will probably be rooting for the rest of my life because I'm going to graduate from this college.
Yay.
And they end up in this situation. I'd throw up my hands and go, dude, we don't need both these teams in here. We already have seen this matchup.
Yeah, see, my
because they are in
thing,
the same division, so we would already see them play.
my thing is, if you're using the Pac-12 for an example,
I am, because it's
I
the
think
biggest thing
it's
that SEC fans harp on. So I can't use the Pac-12 as an example.
I think it's a little bit different because then you're going to get the Big Ten, and then you're going to get the Big 12 saying
No other team's undefeated. Same situation as this year.
Yeah,
there may
same
be some teams that
well,
deserve
well,
it. Cough, Oklahoma State,
Would
uncough.
you shut the fuck up and let me talk for a minute?
No.
Jesus Christ.
Because you're going to spout out some SEC.
I'm going to blow your logic all to hell, like I normally do.
Ha.
That being said,
You blow a lot of things to hell.
that's not what she said. That being
She
said,
wasn't a she.
if you have Oklahoma sitting there at 11-1, and you have, say, Michigan sitting there at 11-1, they're going to look at Oregon and Stanford, and they're going to say, look, we could beat one of these two teams. The difference is,
just like how people said we saw Oklahoma State sitting there at 11-1.
yeah, but the difference is,
Yeah, but the difference is
Andrew,
Oregon and Stanford's
beat
not.
Alabama and
That's the
LSU.
difference.
That's the difference. Is these teams know they can't beat Alabama and LSU.
At least give them a shot. We've already seen.
At least give them a shot. Let me say this. Let me say this, and then we'll move on to something else. If these teams could bitch and moan all they wanted to, if they really wanted to, but if a lot of these teams know in their heart of hearts that they can't beat these two teams that are playing in the national title game. That's why, honestly, if Oregon and Stanford were the same way, which it would be hard pressed to do, but if they were in the same light and both of them,
I'd say Alabama and LSU would be the same, hard pressed to do the same shit they're pulling this year, but somehow they managed to pull it off.
but do you think the Big Ten? Do you think Wisconsin wants a piece of Alabama? No, Alabama.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do.
It's called the millions of dollars in the game from getting it.
Hey, Matt, Wisconsin, Oregon, Stanford, they all want a chance to prove that they can beat Alabama, that they can beat LSU.
And what happened last year when Michigan State wanted that same chance to play Alabama?
It wasn't.
They got curb stomped.
But this is the moot point. You can't play the game. That's the moot point. You can't go off other games and compare it every time. You just can't.
Well, no, you can't expect it to happen every time, but a lot of these teams know that, and to be fair, it's like I said, and I wouldn't have a problem with two other teams and two other conferences facing off if the same situation happened this year. Because honestly, a bunch of teams had a chance to win. All they had to do was, because when Alabama lost to LSU, they slipped down to number 5.
Well, there is the small little thing I want to say here. There's been 2 instances lately where teams that had no business being against a top 5 team, or a top ranked team. Sorry, not necessarily a number 5 team, that they have either pulled off the upset or they have came really damn close and had no business even being in that matchup. We of course go to the Appalachian State game. We also go to the Troy game that LSU had a couple years ago, where they almost lost at home to Troy.
Yeah.
Now, those 2 games give the exact example of both sides of the spectrum of one team coming close, one team pulling it off in a position they should not be in. If those games happen in a national picture, the teams that you supposedly say have no chance, but they come up for one game and say, "Fuck you, I'm going to do this. We're gonna sit for the next 2 weeks and sit down and put our hearts into this and find that wrinkle in the system that doesn't work and exploit it to all hell because we can, because we have one thing that works well. And what are people going to say? Well, they don't deserve to be here because they didn't lose because they didn't beat anybody before them. Fair enough. But if you have a tournament that is set up and two other teams coming into this, then you can't say they're fake. They don't belong to be there. That's where you eliminate the argument. That's where you eliminate the possibility of people arguing with this fact. One game, yes, you can call for a fluke. If it's a series of things, it's for real. And that's what they're holding off here is. They're holding off the fact that they can think, hey, they've not played anybody this year, so they can't beat anybody. But if they do play somebody, they'll be afraid.
Well, it's like I said, my biggest drawback on the playoff, and I think the playoff is the way to handle things. But my idea was a little bit different of having the 4 BCS bowls after the playoff.
No.
You have to use them for sites. I think they would be. Oh God, the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl was the biggest jerk of them all. Who the ones that are trying to
hold up. You guys didn't even let me finish.
Go ahead.
Okay. Say you cut the conference schedule or the non-conference schedule and the whole schedule down to 10 games, and you played your playoff, and you lined up the 4 bowl games, and let's say you did your little playoff, and let's say there's 10 teams in because we're gonna fill 4 other bowl games, and let's say the teams that are unbeaten get byes. If there's more than 2, then we'll figure that out later. But let's just say for now, or if there's a bunch.
I don't want any buys.
Well, no buys.
There's reason behind.
Then we'll have to go to 12 teams or else it will be uneven. But
you got to go to 8 teams or 16 teams.
Yeah, 12 teams. There's a bye, unless you have 3 teams on the field at once.
Yeah,
well,
triangle football.
So 16. Let's say.
Don't invent that shit.
Let's say 16 teams. All right. And let's say you got the 4 BCS bowls and then the Cotton Bowl and then the BCS title game. That's 6 different bowl games. So that's 12 different teams. You're eliminated first round. You're done. Bye. Then you start getting in the second round. Like say, let's say Alabama played Boise State, and let's say TCU played fucking Michigan. And let's say TCU beat Michigan, and let's say Alabama beat Boise. Well, then you'd have Boise versus Michigan in one of the bowl games.
And that's too much competition.
No, that's too much chaos to keep track of.
Oh, it's already chaos.
Well, that's
You're
true.
trying to eliminate the chaos. The only way to eliminate chaos.
You're not going to eliminate the chaos because then
there's no way to eliminate the chaos. But speaking of bowl games, I think it's time that we move on.
Oh, come on! It was just getting heated up in here.
I know it's a discussion. I understand that, and we could probably dedicate a whole podcast to this.
We'll probably will somewhere down the road.
That's true. So we talked about games happening before the new year last week, which you can find on our YouTube channel and on LOP forums, and you should definitely check it out because it was a good episode. We're going to talk about the 4 BCS games, not the national championship game, this time around anyways. And we're going to talk about one non-BCS bowl, and that bowl is the Ticket City Bowl, featuring the previously undefeated Houston Cougars. A team that had a shot to be that BCS buster this year, but unfortunately got shocked against Southern Mississippi.
Called it.
You did call it. I think that's the thing that shocks me the most, that you did call it. I think it was almost like the first or second episode. You did call that. Yeah, and they're facing the Nittany Lions of Penn State, which we've also talked about, and we've also dropped several jokes.
Not as much as the pants have been dropped.
Penetration. Come on.
Precisely. So, we have Houston, we have Penn State. Both are ranked. And it should be a good matchup. And, Morn, what are your thoughts on it?
This is one of those games that I don't know what the spread is. I haven't looked. Normally I do look on games like this because it's one of those things I wish I could find out. And I want to bet the house.
Hold on. According to Yahoo,
The spread is Houston's offense.
The Houston is a favorite by 7 points.
If I was a betting man, which I am, but I'm nowhere near somewhere I can do it, I would bet my house on Houston covering that and blowing the shit out of Penn State. And I mean that in all honesty. Their quarterback's almost as killed by another player on the team. No one believes in their head coach because they don't have one anymore. The team's falling apart. And then you have Houston who's sitting there pissed off because they lost. Oh, man. This has
only pissed off?
Oh, there. I'm pretty sure that the school's looking at, well, we go from having 15 million in or 12 million in to having 1 million in.
Something like that. I could double check the endowment they'll get from the ticket people. But
it's $20 million for the BCS title games.
Well, I don't think there's any discussion of them being in the title game, but the sugar
not the title game, but you know.
Still, that's a lot of freaking money. And I love the guy who was at Southern Miss who goes, oh well, about beating them. It's like, okay.
Yeah, Larry Fedora.
It's like, yeah, I just cost my school a couple $1 million. Oh well.
Same situation with Nevada and Boise last year. Nevada cost the WAC a couple million in the same way.
And we don't want to get back in that argument. This is one of the reasons that's fundamentally wrong with what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But
anyways, continue.
Houston. Now, defensively, Penn State might be able to do something to Houston. Don't be surprised the game isn't as gross as it could be. But I don't see Penn State doing anything with the football. And so when they don't have your quarterback possibly, and you have players that may be suspended, and you have other team that's united together going, we deserve to be here, let's do this. Yeah, Houston should win this game. And I'm not going to go on the X's and O's on this. I'm just going to say Houston wins 28-6.
That little? I think Houston's going to just blow them out of the water. I mean,
I think Penn State's defense, which is really, really good, I can't take that from them, can for at least a while hold them down. I just don't think their offense will be able to move the football.
Here's a stat for you. Penn State is 0-3 against ranked teams this year. They lost to Alabama, they lost to Nebraska, and they lost to Wisconsin. I mean, granted, Houston's also 0-1. They lost to Southern Miss.
The Nebraska game was pretty good, by the way.
It was close, but I'm more concerned about their last game against Wisconsin. Wisconsin's offense is more dynamic. They run the ball as well as pass the ball, but we know Case Keenum. We know he can throw the ball like a motherfucker.
That's all he can do.
That's all he needs to do. That's all he needs to do. Wisconsin put up 45 points on a Penn State defense that is one of the, I want to say, best in the nation, one of the better teams in the nation in terms of points against and yards against. Even after giving up 45 last game. Last game happened in November. They're still 5th overall in the whole nation in points against. They've had a good defense all year, but they've lost 2 of their past 3 with the whole bullshit that's going on with Sandusky and Paterno. Houston's going to roll in this one. 28 is too low of a score. Penn State might hold them for the first quarter or so, but the floodgates are going to open really quickly, and Case Keenum's going to have a hell of a day.
To let you know, Penn State is 5th on points against in this.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penn State's 5th in points against.
5th in points against, that's taking into account the 45 points they gave up against Wisconsin. So that's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive that they're somehow 9-3 with the 110th ranked offense.
Yeah, but that's because it was all about their defense. And if Wisconsin can post those numbers, Houston will try to get as close as possible. 38-7. Because Penn State, what offense?
Right. Well, I look at this from a big picture, and I said that Case Keenum was one of the hot ticket items in terms of steals of the draft, and I firmly believe that. However, I will say this. Southern Miss is cut from, well, their offense is better than Penn State's, obviously, because they run a spread attack that has athletes to run said attack. They've been doing it for years. But their defense, this is the benefit Penn State has. They had the blueprint on how to beat Houston. A defense that was worse in points against than they were gave them the blueprint on how to beat Houston. And truthfully, beating Houston is not that hard. You know they're going to throw the ball 80% of the time. You know they're going to be in a lot of 4 and 5 wide sets. That's what they do. I think Houston has more turmoil than Penn State does because, A, Houston just came off losing their first game of the year. And if that wasn't a kick in the dick, then their coach fucking leaves them hanging high and dry and leaves for Texas A&M.
I don't blame him.
Well, I don't blame him either. So now they have an interim coach.
There's a thing that I want to bring up about interim coaches in a situation like this. You have 2 teams with interim coaches, and one of them is off of a turmoil issue that deals with morality. The other one's turmoil issue deals off with, I found a better job. And so
that's a subtle difference.
Yeah, and so I don't see this as a major problem to Houston because Penn State's playing. No one there is going to be there. When the final whistle blows on the 2nd of January, every coach on that team knows they do not have a job. And it doesn't matter how good they coach. They may not have one for several years.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Houston's people, they're playing for a job. Whoever the interim coach is sitting there salivating going, if I can pull out this win, there is a chance I can become the head coach of this school.
Well, he's already been named the head coach of Houston.
Okay, you know what I'm saying, though? Now he gets to solidify it. He gets to say, this is my job.
He gets to solidify it, but the ones that aren't named coaches, they're still fighting for a job.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want to be retained for next year.
For a job, but all I am saying is this. Penn State, I think we could all agree Penn State's played a tougher schedule. I think we can.
Let me think here. UCLA, no, they sucked. Marshall, no, they made a bowl game, but they sucked. Southern Methodist, they've been pretty decent. Tulsa, Southern Miss, they lost to them.
Either way, Penn State played a tougher schedule.
Yes.
Way to state the obvious, Seth.
Well, yeah, all I'm saying is you guys give not that much credit to Penn State. I know they gave up a lot of points versus Wisconsin.
They only scored 14 on Temple.
They only scored 14 on Temple, but Temple was a pretty good team.
13 on Iowa.
Okay. Both
Indiana, 16.
10 on Illinois.
Oh. Penn State's defense will keep them in this. And not only will they keep them in this, Penn State's going to win this game 24-21.
Yeah, no.
Just because Case Keenum is a one-trick pony that needs to work on his skills before he'll be ready for the next level. And
so what's your suggestion for Penn State? Drop 8 in coverage every play?
They don't have to.
If they blitz, they're going to be screwed over, dude. They don't have the speed.
They don't have to drop 8 in coverage. They could drop 7 in coverage and rush 4 down linemen and get good.
Rush 4, give Case Keenum 15 seconds in the pocket. He'll find an open receiver because he does have that kind of vision, and they'll tear up Penn State either way.
Whoa, actually, Andrew.
Have you actually watched Houston this year? Have you seen?
Have you actually watched Penn State this year?
I have. I'm making a point.
You're not. You're being a jerk. That was not even
I'm
funny.
always a jerk, though.
Your point is invalid because
I will
offensive
totally
line
agree with
sucks.
I have to say
And
this.
Penn State's defensive line is better than you're giving them credit for.
I totally agree. Penn
two-
State's defensive line is probably the main reason why their defense is giving up fifth overall in points against.
They have two first 2-day NFL players.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's not even counting the linebackers.
Exaggerating. God damn it.
But the thing people forget about Houston is they can still run the ball. And that's going to keep Penn State at least honest enough so they can't send more than 4. And if you can do that, and Penn State can't move the football, and you play the game of figuring things out for the first quarter, and you keep the games close, and Penn State doesn't come out and actually outhorse you, which they should be able to do, but they probably won't, then Houston should be able in the second half come out and go, okay, we figured out what they're doing, let's kill them. And come out in the second half and pull away. But
They should, but we thought they'd do that against Southern Miss too.
I didn't.
And well, if you watched the game at halftime when Southern Miss was leading, you sat there and people would say, well, Houston's going to come back just like they always do. It's not the case.
I was calling matchup problems from like day one when I first started this podcast with you guys.
And all I'm going to say is this. Is quite simple because Penn State has better defensive backs than Southern Miss does. And Penn State has a better defensive line than Southern Miss does. And they have the blueprint on how to beat Houston. They will win this football game. I don't care how bad their offense is. Their offense is about as bad as Houston's defense is.
Actually, Houston's defense is far better than
Houston's defense is not that good. They just get good ratings because their offense is always on the field.
Which is a good thing, not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but once they start getting stopped, which they will be stopped, we saw what happened.
Not enough times to make a huge difference, I don't think.
Penn State's going to win. Just watch.
This is going to sound mean of me to say, but we should move along from this. I'm pretty sure people do not want to hear more about Penn State and fucking Houston.
You sure?
So can we get like scores from everybody again to make sure we get this right?
I think my score was 48-7.
I remember mine was like 28-6.
Or no, it wasn't 40. It was then 38-7. Or somewhere in between. Fuck it.
Mine was 24-21. Penn State.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on, we have BCS Bowls. First off, uncharacteristically being held on the 2nd of January instead of the 1st.
NFL!
Yep, that's it exactly. We have the Rose Bowl game, featuring the winner of the Big Ten, the Wisconsin Badgers, a team that I initially had in the national championship preseason and up until they lost inexplicably against the Spartans.
They pulled a slap.
And the Ducks of Oregon. Seth, Oregon or Wisconsin, go.
Oregon wins because Wisconsin is exactly like Stanford with the black quarterback. Oregon wins. It's not even close. It's 38-21.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Oregon should mop. I mean, Oregon's defense is better than was advertised, and someone tries to say otherwise, watch the game against Stanford.
Oregon gives up piles of yards, but
they create turnovers, and they have playmakers everywhere, and not just on offense. Their defense secondary is extremely good, and if you think for one moment that this team can't stop the run, they can.
They're Ken John Barner, DeAnthony Thomas fast on secondary.
Exactly, and if you remember right, Wisconsin cannot handle teams that have speed at all. And so Wisconsin will come in here and just like every other Big Ten team, face against a speedy team and lose. It's going to be probably 35-21.
Okay. I think Oregon's going to win, but I'm going to defend Wisconsin here for a sec.
Uh-oh.
They were just a couple plays away from being undefeated. They gave a Hail Mary touchdown when time expired to lose to Michigan State. They should have won that game.
Yay.
They lost on a touchdown with 20 seconds left to Ohio State, which they definitely should have beat Ohio State.
Yay.
But think about that. 2 plays, no more than 30 seconds left on the clock, on both plays, is the difference between an undefeated season.
Okay.
And which leads me not to sleep on Wisconsin. However, I do think that Oregon, like Morin said, has too much speed for Wisconsin. We've seen them on offense. They're so dynamic. They can do so much through the air, on the ground, and when they're not turning the ball over on special teams, like their game against LSU, they can do a lot of things on special teams too. I don't know if it's going to be 17 points like you guys said, but they'll definitely win. And I guess I should probably be careful when I say not 17 points. The game's going to be closer in the score than it probably should be. I think it'll probably only be about 10 points, maybe even single digits, though it should be 17 to 20 point victory. I think Oregon's just going to handle them on the ground, in the air, and on defense as well. 40-30, I think they'll give up a couple touchdowns that they shouldn't to Wisconsin. But I may be also giving Wisconsin too much credit. I just can never sleep on Russell Wilson and Monty Ball, though.
Well, that's
Is that
fantastic.
it?
Yeah,
He spent more time on the Ticket City Bowl than the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, because the Rose Bowl kind of bores me.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, it just reminds me of Stanford and Oregon all over again. And I think Oregon's just going to beat the shit out of Wisconsin.
I think Wisconsin has more weapons on offense than Stanford, though.
Yeah, but I think
Russell Wilson is a running Andrew Luck.
I think
Wisconsin has better runners than Stanford.
I think Stanford had a better quarterback, though. And a better offensive line. By far better offensive line. And a better defense, now that you mentioned it. But that's beside the point. Let's move on.
Okay. So we have the other bowl game on the 2nd. And not on the 1st, like usual. Number 3, Oklahoma State. And we talked about Oklahoma State earlier and how they got screwed and et cetera, and screw the SEC, whatever. Against number 4, Stanford. Morn.
Stanford. Did they win a bowl game last year?
I do believe so.
Okay. So me saying that Andrew looks to me like John Elway and never win a bowl game can't be true. So I
don't think they just not only they won, they destroyed Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I think they did. I'm joking.
Yeah, they annulled Virginia Tech.
And the Rose Bowl, if I remember right.
No, Rose Bowl was Wisconsin TCU.
Oh, that's right.
It was sent across the country to the orange.
Yeah, that's right. The Rose Bowl got through a connection fit over that. That's right.
Yeah,
there was that.
Those two places are exactly close to one another, so I can understand how you'd be confused.
40-12.
Shut up, you. Jeez, this matchup is really hard to tell, honestly, because there's so many ways to look at this. Stanford, we look at this as a team on the up, going, yeah, we got here to the Rose Bowl, but we believe we were better than this. And Oklahoma State, so they look at this going, we get Stanford, and not over the Fiesta Bowl, but you know what I mean. It's, I don't like this matchup. I for some weird reason, this matchup just seems a little icky to me.
None of the BCS matchups are that good.
Well, yeah, this was supposedly on paper really good, but I think
it's supposed to be the number 3 team versus the number 4 team, but
Stanford's been shoved down our throats constantly since Andrew Luck didn't go to the draft last year.
Can you expect anything less?
Well, it gets better. Oklahoma State has been talked the least amount of any number 3 team I've ever heard of it, ever. This team should be talked about.
Besides TCU.
They were number 3?
I don't think TCU was ever number 3 last year.
No.
Yeah, they were number 3 last year at the end of the rankings.
Well, that's not in the middle of the season, though, so that's not very...
Oklahoma State...
Well, you just said...
And no, TCU was talked about. I heard them talked about a lot because they were the Cinderella to get in. Come on. We know that.
Come on, man. Well, hell, Oklahoma State was talked about as the Cinderella.
They're not a Cinderella. They're in a major conference beating teams like Texas and Oklahoma.
But they're not a tradition.
Beating Oklahoma? Just beating Oklahoma?
You know what I'm saying? No. They've beaten teams that people know about, not who the hell's Weber State. But, come on. This
It's
is
Weber State. Weber State.
It's Weber, I think.
Who cares what
You're
it
a
is?
Weber. You're a
Who cares
Weber.
what it is? It's the fact that no one would know the real pronunciation of it is anyway, unless you went there. Or have a game every year against them. But, this matchup has Andrew Luck versus Oklahoma State. And honestly, Andrew Luck, his legacy's fine no matter what. But I just see that Stanford's going to win this game because they are happy to be here compared to Oklahoma State, who wishes that they were in the SEC right now.
Let's see what Wikipedia says.
Yeah, it's Weber. Weber.
I can't get it to pronounce.
Can't get it up?
Okay, while Seth's doing that, he's having difficulties. I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the game.
Okay, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm supposed to give a number, aren't I?
Yeah.
Oh, Fred.
Give me numbers.
Let's see here. Stanford behind the running game is going to win 32-24.
Okay.
I got one word for you.
I'm a
Brick
man. And
shit.
wait, that's one more.
Brick shit house. And yes, that's one word. And that's what Justin Blackman is. It's a brick shit house. Justin Blackman.
It's like his name, sorry.
Blackman, the black man from Oklahoma
Is he
State.
white?
That would be awesome. That would be absolutely hilarious. I would laugh so hard I would flop on my waffle or however the fuck it's said. I don't give a shit.
Awful my waffle?
Yeah. Anyways, I think Justin Blackman is gonna go ape shit over Stanford's defense, which, as we know, has a hard time with big physical receivers. I mean, they played against Robert Woods.
Robert Woods had a hell of a game.
Yeah, and Justin Blackman is like a bigger, slightly darker version of Robert Woods. Maybe even a little bit faster, if you dare say. He really reminds me a lot of Calvin Johnson because he's built in the same frame, wears the same number, and he catches balls with his hands, unlike some unlike some receivers that catch balls with their chest, or in Andrew's case, catch balls with his mouth. Okay. Anyways, I think Oklahoma State wins pretty big. I think the problem with Stanford is, fuck you bastards. The problem with Stanford is it all falls on Andrew Luck's shoulders. Him and that offensive line are all that team's got. And overall, I just think that it's going to be too much, especially when you consider Oklahoma State has a quick attack. So all it's going to take is for one punt from Stanford, and Oklahoma State is going to be on you like Sandusky on a kid in the shower. I mean, it's motherfucking B. And it just is. And I think Oklahoma State wins 41 to, I'll give Stanford 14.
Okay. I'll counter your brick shit house with a brick shit house of Stanford's, and that's Stefan Taylor. He's had great production this year, and we've talked about Stanford games before, and you've mentioned it. Stanford's really built around the power running game, and Stefan Taylor embodies that. He knows how to hit the holes with speed and power.
Hit the holes.
With speed and power. Okay, sorry. And I think that will be the key to the game, like Morin said. This game, I keep on looking at it, and I keep on going back and forth. Oklahoma State's going to win. Stanford's going to win. Oklahoma State, they have their passing attack. Stanford, Andrew Luck's got a lot of tools, but they're definitely a running team. And Stanford's defense is good, but they've shown that they can give up a lot of points. Times, 53 to Oregon, 28 to Cal.
38 to USC.
48
Or
USC. And
whatever.
no one gives up 28 points to California. No one.
No one?
Well, I mean, not no one, but a team like Stanford shouldn't. A team in the top 10 rankings like Stanford shouldn't.
Wait. We're talking about how bad teams have done in the top 10 ranking again?
Would you hurry the fuck up? We got another goddamn bowl to get to.
We have
Two,
more to go
actually.
to.
Two, actually. Anyways,
I don't know how we got it.
I think Stanford, they're gonna be carried by Stephon Taylor and also Tyler Gaffney. When Stephon Taylor needs a break, they're gonna have a hell of a day rushing, 200 yards combined. Luck will throw when he needs to. But it'll be a close game. It'll be a really fun game to watch personally. 28-27. I think it'll be really close.
Yay.
Okay, moving on, because Seth's getting tired. All-State Sugar Bowl. You got Michigan, the Wolverines, versus the esteemed Atlantic Coast Conference winners, the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Wrong. It's the Clemson Tigers.
Shit! God damn it! That other ACC team that they weren't even good enough to win the fucking ACC.
The Virginia Tech Hokies.
Thank you. Also, I can barely hear you.
I know this because I rolled over on the bed trying not to go to sleep.
Okay, that's nice. Talk about the game. Go.
Who's playing Virginia Tech and some team nobody else gives a shit about?
I'm going to tell
the Wolverines of Michigan. I'm going to tell you who's going to win this game, and I'll tell you why. The winner of this game is going to be whoever the fuck doesn't watch it, because this game is about as boring as
That's
making
old.
butter.
Try it again.
You're old.
No,
How
I'm
about
not. I'm actually the youngest one here, so fuck you.
How about I try you again?
Say, he's so desperate he wants to fuck you.
Hey, well, shit, it's been 5 years. 5 years, 18 days, 32 minutes, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Virginia Tech, Michigan, go.
I've been trying, but you keep interrupting me with your damn gay slander. God, you're like the gay Ned Flanders, you faggot. Anyways.
God.
Editing is wonderful.
Virginia Tech kind of reminds me of that ex-girlfriend that you would call the Chinese finger trap, because once you stick your finger in, it's just kind of stuck. And you stick your finger into the Virginia Tech trap, and your finger gets stuck, and then her dad walks in and threatens to kill you with a shotgun. And, you realize that Virginia Tech is underage and not a very good team. They're just built around doing successful things that the ACC defenses can't stop. Most ACC teams like to pass a lot. Virginia Tech can't handle that. If you notice, Denard Robinson has actually thrown quite a bit more this year than he did last year. And, Michigan has slowly went back to the spread, something Virginia Tech is used to seeing. The difference is it's Denard frickin' Robinson running it, and not Mike Glennon from North Carolina State University. Either way, all analogies aside, Denard Robinson's a game breaker. Virginia Tech has trouble with spread offenses. See the game versus Clemson. They also have trouble with the option game. See versus Georgia Tech, where they gave up some big plays, even though Georgia Tech fumbled and gave Virginia Tech a shot to win. And eventually Virginia Tech did win. I just think Denard Robinson's too much. Michigan 31, Virginia Tech 17.
More?
Why this should not be a BCS bowl game? Let me count the ways. One, neither team deserved to be here. Two,
Brady Hoke.
Three,
Brady fucking Hoke.
Yeah, no kidding. We can keep going there over and over again. How the fuck does the NCAA allow games like this happen when you have teams that were in the top 5 not making it to BCS games? I'm just kind of confused by this. And Oregon made it. But you know what I mean? Like they have several teams in the top 10 that didn't get to go to BCS game. Yet you have 2 teams that clearly are only there because of their fan bases and nothing to do with what they did on the field. Got there.
Since when has college football been about what teams do on the field?
But that's what SEC says. Confused. They're always right. Man, who made these rules?
If the SEC had it their way, Arkansas would have been in the fucking game.
Well, they've been in a BCS bowl, by the way. Arkansas would have been in a.
If the SEC fans had it their way, Arkansas would also be in the national championship game.
That would suck, man. Arkansas is like, honestly,
they're Tigers.
I dated girls that had more hillage when I was 12 than Arkansas, and it's legit flat.
Oh wait! Are you saying they're like a carpenter's dream?
Yes.
As a nail straight as a board?
Yeah.
God. Well, we're getting off topic. Shows how much.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No. We're not getting off topic. This is a BS game. This is when I say BSC, bullshit championship. This is one of the reasons why I call it that. Everybody called Michigan getting in, but Michigan got above 12. We got in the top 12. Or 13, I guess. But when they got
Michigan's 13 in the BCS.
When they got high enough, everybody called it because Michigan hadn't been to a BCS bowl game in years. For obvious reasons. The team sucked. So the 1 year they're decent, they throw them in there against a team that is equally as mediocre, but gets boosted up because the conference they're in, and Virginia Tech. This is stupid. I don't believe this game is going to be on national TV, let alone people are going to actually say this is a great game on the 3rd. But Denard Robinson, he'll destroy the hell out of Virginia Tech. It's not going to be fucking close. 49-14. Please make sure this game is over at halftime. Thank you.
I don't know if it'll probably be 49-15, but yeah, I'll be close. Denard Robinson
14.
will have
I told you give him 2 touchdowns.
Well, they might have scored a 2-point conversion on one of them.
No, not 5 field goals. That's not nice.
Well, it could be a touchdown and then a touchdown with a 2-point conversion.
Even though Brady Hoke would go, we're down by 30 in the 3rd quarter. Let's go for a field goal, 4th and 1.
Yeah, probably. Anyways, yeah, it'll be ugly. Denard Robinson will score a lot of points. Yes, just Denard Robinson, not the whole Wolverines offense. I don't know. 35, I'll give him 2 touchdowns as well. 14. It won't be close. The game won't be entertaining. Nah. Okay, going on. Last BCS game that's not the championship game. We have the Discover Orange Bowl. And it's the Big East winner, West Virginia, the Mountaineers, against the actual ACC winners. Sorry about that earlier. The Clemson Tigers. Go, somebody. I don't care.
Okay, so Clemson faced in a BCS bowl game. Somehow the ACC, which had a down year, had 2 teams in the.
They usually have a down year.
Oh, that's right. It's ACC.
Yeah.
And so
until FSU wakes up.
Yeah, Clemson should win this. I said should. In all honesty, I hope they win this. I mean, this is a very bad matchup. And this is really weird. You had all these possibilities coming into in these games, where you had a lot of fun possible matchups to come out, and instead you get number 23, number 15 in a game that's the teams get like $12 to $15 million. Number 15 and number 23. Really? Are you kidding me?
That's the BCS for you. Thumbs up.
Yeah. Everything's just so great. This is like go to the Pro Bowl, but being told that every starter opted out. Wait, that happens anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know much about West Virginia other than they suck. And Clemson's
They're from the
not much
Big
better.
East. That usually comes with a big suck on it.
And Clemson's not much better. But I think
I don't know. Clemson's pretty damn good this year.
yeah, up until the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season where they lost 3 games. One to Georgia Tech, one to North Carolina, one to South Carolina. Yep, I guess
And they got lit up in those games too.
Yeah, they somehow pulled it together enough to win the championship game against Virginia Tech.
Not only blew out Virginia Tech,
Ass raped them.
Yeah, so they get the trifecta of matchups against teams that are from their area when they face West Virginia. On regional level, that's a great matchup. Honestly, on regional level, that's right up there. West Virginia and Clemson, not rivals, but they pretty much are for talent and for fan recognition, all that. This should be a fun game. On national level, we're supposed to watch this.
on a national level, this is the BCS championship game.
No, this isn't. This is national. This is worse than that. This is
I know.
far
I'm
worse.
exaggerating.
So on Wednesday the 4th, I'm going to be sitting there, and I'm going to flip through channels, and there's nothing back on yet because the stations aren't going to compete with this. And you're going to flip to this game and go, what the fuck is on my TV screen? And whenever that happens and it's in a major bowl, you know something's wrong. There's no intrigue here. There's no reason to even watch this game. But I'm going to give Clemson the win, and I call that loosely 24-21.
I think that this game, the thing that is exciting about this game is, and don't get offended, but this is a Pac-12 game for all intents and purposes. Neither team can play real good defense. Both teams have a pretty damn good offense. Both teams are spread-based, and both teams are really, really fast.
And I called for a lower matchup because I think it's going to be a lot of timing off, but that's just me.
I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think Clemson wins. At least I hope they do, because if Clemson wins, then we get money. Yay, money. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say
money
Clemson.
Anyways.
Well, we get money anyways, but we get more money if Clemson
It's not the
wins.
same amount of money is given if they win or lose.
Well, I hope Clemson wins just that way. It makes my ego feel better.
Okay.
Clemson will, while they're warming the seat for the next year's ACC title champions, the Florida State Seminoles, they will win this game 49-35. Yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead, Andrew.
It'll be 45, but we've talked about all year. Taj Boyd, the Sammy Watkins, etc. Clemson should do really well. Their passing attack's good. I just looked these stats up. I looked at the individual game recaps. The 3 games they lost, or got creamed in, if you will, against Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, and South Carolina. And you'll expect this against Georgia Tech. But their time of possession was horrid. Low 20s. And they'll need to control the clock. I mean, that seems fairly obvious. Because their defense isn't that good. And, I guess I can agree with Seth saying that Pac-12 just looking at the speed and the spread and not having that great of a defense. But Clemson will need to control the clock. And if they're able to do that, they should be able to win rather big here. 38-21.
So is it like an AFC East game?
Pretty much, yeah.
More like an NFC East game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They have no defense there either. Weird.
It's almost like any division this year. Except maybe the AFC.
Almost like any East division ever. The Big East, the AFC East, the NFC East.
The East of the NBA. Defense, what's that?
Yeah. Eastern Asia. Can't do shit right.
Okay. We've done all our bowl games. We have a minute each for our closing statements. Warren, go.
I'm going to go off the beaten path. I don't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Judge, I know you're probably going to listen to this saying, why did you guys contact me or wait for me? Well, dude, you're not going to be out of traction until then. I'm joking. Get well, dude. You and I may argue a lot, but I don't wish ill will on anybody. And when you get healthy, hopefully you'll be in time for next week, and we can get you in here to tell us all about how well your teams are, because I know we're going to try to deadpan it as much as we can. So get better, sleep well, whatever happened to you, I hope it's not too horribly bad, and no one deserves this at any time of the year, especially during the holiday season. So get well, dude.
You have 15 more seconds if you want to add anything else.
Go Cardinals.
I'll piggyback that statement.
LOL, what?
Well, if the Cardinals win, Seahawks get a better draft pick.
Yay. Go Cardinals.
Okay, Seth, you have a minute. Go.
So I have a minute to say what is on my mind when it comes to football. The only thing I can think of is this. With all the turmoil and everything going on within football nowadays, it's easy to forget that we all get together over this little oval ball and how it moves 100 yards at a time. It's really, really magical to watch bowls this time of year because a lot of these teams have lost out for one reason or another. Maybe they had to play a big brick shithouse team starting off the year, or maybe they just didn't do well in their conference. Either way, it's easy to forget why we love football when we talk about the BCS and bitch and moan. Watching the Air Force Toledo game today reminded me why I do love football. It's a competitive game, it's fun to watch, and it's good to see that those boys who soon will be going off overseas and fighting for our freedom actually got to have a nice moment in the nation's capital. I'm happy for them, even though they lost. So it's nice to see college football get back to what makes it so great.
Well said. I gave you more than a minute there because I didn't want to cut you off there.
Yeah, that would have been rude, you douche.
Yeah, that would have. Okay, I guess I get a minute now. I probably won't take a minute. Tomorrow, I bet I won't be able to see it because I have a curling. But Baylor Washington's tomorrow. We talked about this last week, but I'm still going to have a fun time watching it. I still love my dogs. The defense is going to get torn to shreds by Robert Griffin III.
The dogs love you too.
But it'll still be a fun game to watch. It's always good to see the dogs play on national TV because it doesn't happen that often. Not often enough, anyways. Okay, I'm done. Are we good? Anything else?
Yeah, one more thing. Go Chargers. Wait, no, I can't say it like that. No, I want to actually piggyback a little bit on there. Yeah, the bowl games today were actually very good. We had the Western Michigan Purdue matchup, and then you got the Little Caesars Bowl.
Wasn't that yesterday?
Oh, that was today. It doesn't matter. The bowl games lately have been really good. I hope they continue through. And it doesn't matter how much I shit on the teams in these games. I just hope that they're fun for the people that do watch them. They're not blowouts, but I just have this feeling that there's going to be a lot of disappointment coming up.
Okay. Is that it, guys?
Oh.
Sounds good. Thanks for listening, guys. Gone through 5. Here's for 5 more good ones.